One of the benefits of doing Six Sigma projects is that the way we do projects in Six Sigma is very, very standardized, and it's very strict form on what needs to come first, what needs to come next. And no matter if you are a green belt or if you're a black belt or a master black belt, you have a very tight roadmap to follow. And if you follow the instructions and you trust the process, then most of the time you will always have a very successful project output. And in the next couple of slides, you can see what is the main phases within the Six Sigma project and what do they contain. Here you will find the 5 phases of a Six Sigma project, and it starts with the define phase. It moves over to measure, then to analyze, moving over to improve, and to the control phase. The questions that we will cover when we are in our define phase is what is the problem and what is the main pain point that we have and why do we actually need to start with a project? The pain points, they are actually given by our client, if it's the internal client or the external client. And once we know what is the pain point, we can set the goals and we can set what is the target that we need to achieve. What is very important also is to identify what is the defect and what is our sigma value. Sigma values represent how stable a specific process is running and how little variation we have in our process defects. So if we have a high defect rate, then we have a very low sigma value. So for example, a 1 sigma, a 2 sigma, that's a very bad performing process. If we have a high sigma value that goes closer to 6, then you will have a very good and stable process with very little defects. In the next phase, you will have the measurements, which first question comes up, how big is the problem? Is the problem really something that happens regularly? Is it something that is going to make our customers go away and never come back again? And then the next question would be, how stable is our measurement system? Because the data that we receive needs to be reliable. So we cannot rely on data that is unstable. So not only should we have stable processes, but we should also have stable measurement systems. Then, as the next question is, what is the current process performance? So therefore, you can identify that it's a very strong link between measure and define phase. That's why they overlap with each other a bit, because you need to measure certain things in order to place it into our project charter that appears in our define phase. And we will also then ask ourselves the question in the measure phase, how does the process flow look like and how do we visualize it? Then moving over to the analyze phase, the questions that come up is, why is the problem actually occurring? What is the root cause of our problem? And can we actually identify it through data analysis? And that is the beauty about the analyze phase. It's something that we do not do very often in the classical project management projects, because very often one moves from going to seeing a problem straight to the solution. But Six Sigma says, do not jump from problem to solution. Jump first to the analyze and to the root cause analysis in order to find out how can we actually identify the best improvement suggestions by deriving them from our root cause. Just as an example, if somebody has a headache, is it actually efficient to be giving this person painkillers all the time? Or is it better to identify what is the root cause of the headache and eliminate the fact of taking painkillers and just doing other things that will eliminate the headache for good? And the same thing applies to our processes within our organization. When we are analyzing them through Six Sigma projects, you should first analyze what is the root cause of specific defects of our process before we come up to improvement suggestions. Once we know the root cause, then we can go to the next phase and ask ourselves the question, how can we fix the problem? Now that I know exactly which are the points that we need to focus on, then we will come up with the best solutions. And through that, we'll have an action plan. And the last question is, what is the roadmap that we need in order to implement the changes to the process? And then we will move over to the control phase. And here we will ask ourselves the question, is the solution that we are now suggesting for the improvements of our process, is it sustainable? Can we actually see the performance levels stay throughout time? So it's not that we have a project managers walking in, doing the project and leaving, and then the performance of the process goes back down. We would like to have a very sustainable and manageable control plan so that the employees and the people who are involved in the process can actively look at these measurement systems and react and be proactive once the performance levels go down. And this is here the beauty of the Six Sigma project, because when we're doing the classical project management, sometimes we are missing a little bit on the control phase. And as I just mentioned before, we are missing a little bit on the analyze phase. And these are the strong points that we have within a Six Sigma project.